Good evening, peoples. I'm Pastor Leia, and this is my co-host, Gingersnap. Welcome back to our living room for our Tuesday night Bible study series. Since we have just begun the season of Lent, we will be taking a deeper dive into some of our texts and art pieces for the season that go along with our worship series, Seeking from A Sanctified Art. So since there was a bit of an ice storm last week, and we didn't technically have a formal Ash Wednesday service per se, and so I used those texts this past Sunday. Tonight's gospel story is actually not the one that I did preach on Sunday, it's the one that I meant to. Anyway, ice is fun, y'all. Anyway, so we'll be having that tonight. So first I invite you to center yourself by taking a deep breath. Breathe in the Spirit and breathe out. Breathe in the love of Christ and breathe out. Breathe in the fullness of God and breathe out. Relax your shoulders, sit comfortably. Spend this time in silence. If your mind starts to wander, focus back to your breath. Open yourself up to God's voice. Do not buy jewelry. That was meant for her, but probably good advice for you too. If your mind starts to wander, focus back to your breath. Open yourself up to God's voice. Even if you have heard this story before, let it fill you again. Our gospel reading tonight comes to us from Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 through 11, which I will now pull up on screen. Hear now the word of the Lord. Do not bite the bookmark. Do not bite the bookmark is probably not the word of the Lord, but whatever. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. The tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become bread." But Jesus answered, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the tempter took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. For it is written, God will command the angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "Again it is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again, the devil took him up to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor, and said to him, "All these I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away with you, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only the Lord your God." Then the tempter left him, and suddenly angels came and waited on him. This is the word of the Lord. So I know I've mentioned this quite a few times, but the Greek word satanas, which we often translate as Satan, like capital S, like a title or a figure, it just means like the tempter. It's not like a title or like single figure or a red-skinned demon with horns and a weird tail and cloven hooves. And there's a long story of how that bit of Greek mythology morphed with Western iconography. And anyway, it's not like a person, it's more of like a character type, kind of. I feel like there's a word I'm missing. Anyway, the point is not that Jesus is going up against some ultimate evil. It's more that Jesus is facing some pretty basic temptations of, do you want to live like an ordinary human life? Or do you want to, fill the role of God on earth? So which urges will you give into? Which voice will you listen to? Is kind of the theme of the story. And the choice that Jesus makes is not to concern himself with his own hunger, but to live a life that will feed others. Not to seek power for its own sake, but to be able to use influence to help other people, etc., etc. So Jesus is both fully man and fully God and does need to eat, but wants other people to be able to eat really weird things that Jesus is into, Anyway, Yes. So now taking a look at the art that goes with this story, we come to our time of Visio Divina, which is a practice of reading scripture using a piece of art as a focal point. Oh my gosh, you very purry cat. You are so distracting. Do you know that? Do you know how distracting you are? Yeah, I bet you're doing it on purpose. So friends, where do you hear God's voice in this story? I wasn't asking you. What questions are being asked in this story? What questions would you ask? Take another deep breath in and out. Continue breathing deeply as you read the image. What do you see? What stands out to you? How is the imagery cohesive with the scripture? Now take a deeper look. What parts of the image are your eyes most drawn to? What parts of the image should you quickly brush by or overlook at first? How does the image make you feel? So now I will share the artist statement that the creator, Lisle Garrity, wrote about making this piece. She writes, "In this image, the words of the tempter hover in the background. The tempter's voice lingers like a ringing in Jesus' ear, saying, 'Take charge, hoard your power, dominate, control.' Somehow, Jesus has deciphered that these words are simply background noise. He closes his eyes and goes inward, wrapping himself in a posture of self-embrace. From this introspective perspective, Jesus essentially says, 'Get behind me, Satan.' The backdrop of this piece resembles the dust of the desert. Like sand washing along a beach, the sediment shifts into water in the top left, hinting at what bolsters Jesus and his ministry, his belonging to God. His belovedness washes over him, giving him the courage to defy the deception of the tempter and tune into his inner wisdom. In this way, he is given a new song to carry with him, a lullaby from God that goes, 'You, my child, in you I am well pleased.' This is a melody for singing, a song for dancing. What are the voices that linger with you like a ringing in your ears? What are the messages that try to deceive or devour you? Let those voices buzz and fade into the background. Close your eyes, tune in, and embrace yourself. From your belovedness, what song will you sing?" So that is what the Reverend Lisle Garrity wrote about creating this piece, Tune In. So do you identify with the artist's reflection? How does hearing Lisle's statement change how you see the art? So we will be continuing to take these deeper dives into the stories and art for the week. Next week, it will actually coordinate with the Sunday story that we will have read. I should probably not jinx myself. I believe my weather app told me like 8 or 9 inches on Friday of snow. So, yay. We were only without power for a day, but it got really cold in the living room, and this poor creature is tiny and has no insulation, and she was just very unhappy. And when she realized that the power had come back on and the room was warming up again, she just started purring up a storm, and she did not stop purring until I went to bed, and I felt very bad. I mean, she's so small. She has a fur coat, but she's not even quite 6 pounds. She's very small. Anyway, hopefully, no major weather conditions will messed with us this week. Yeah, so we can all pray for that. Anyway, please join me tomorrow for another video on Facebook or YouTube. We will be having our Wednesday evening prayers return for the season of Lent, so that we can error messages, so that we can also enjoy some of the poetry that was written to go with this series. And on Thursday morning, if you are so inclined, you could join me for Bible study in person in the lounge. We have a series created by Kate Bowler, Bless the Lent We Actually Have. It has some really cool discussion questions that I would love to discuss with you if you would be so inclined as to join me in the lounge on Thursday mornings at 9. So that being said, good night.